All right, everybody, welcome back to the Beans No Ball podcast and the return of Sunday morning chat. Obviously, we didn't get to this last week, but we'll just pick up right where we left off. So let's just get right into it.
Yeah, so obviously starting with Sunday chat. Obviously, it's a shorter episode just to for the rest of the beginning of the week. So we do apologize for missing last week, but we're gonna make sure we don't miss any more. So let's get it started with Sunday chat and some news going around the NFL. So before we get kicked off with the Sunday slate of the 10 a.m. game, Deebo Samuel of the 49ers is listed as questionable for today's game with bruising. I forgot where, but he's listed questionable with some sort of bruising, so it's going to be a game time decision whether he plays or not.
And just staying on injuries, there's a lot going around, especially with my Rams. The main one today, Aaron Donald is out. He's missing the first game of his career. Up to this point, an ankle injury. It's already been bad enough with the Rams. This and obviously Allen Robinson going out for the year. Matthew Stafford, he's going on IR, so he's basically done for the year. So just the injuries really piling up on already a real struggling team. It's kind of everyone basically shutting down and expecting to be ready for next year at this point.
Yeah, it's a tough look for the Rams. Some other injuries too as well. Darnell Mooney of the Chicago Bears, he's also out for the rest of the year. So Bears lose another weapon with, I think, ankle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot
so
of
he's done for the
injuries
year.
right now.
Yeah, most of these injuries right now are ankles, so it's pretty surprising. But Darnell Mooney's out. That's another weapon. David, you got other things to add?
Just one more. Just keeping on the ankle injuries, you got the star right tackle of the Buccaneers last week. He got a pretty rough ankle injury, and it's not as bad as some of these others, but he'll be missing about 3 to 4 weeks. You expect him to be back, for the playoffs if the Bucs do hold on in this pretty interesting NFC South. But apart from that, I guess couple little news, at least not more injuries to go off. Reports are coming out that Tom Brady would be keen on returning to the Patriots after this season. Probably, obviously the honeymoon phase is over in Tampa Bay, and maybe reunite with Bill Belichick because he'll realize that's probably the coach he'd really do best with.
Yeah, honestly, Tom Brady going back to the Patriots. I'm not as surprised, but from the way he's playing, I don't know if he's gonna do good if he does return next year. And if that's the case, the Bucs are gonna go back to probably being mediocre. And with some non-related NFL news, actually, a little bit more news too. Deshaun Watson making his debut against the Texans today, and Jamar Chase is expected to return this game against the Chiefs. So it could be a great game from Jamar, or it could be a very slow game coming off the injury. And there's some non-related NFL news. Deion Sanders, the coach of Jackson State, took the offer to go to Colorado State. So that's a very surprising move. After saying he was going to stay, most of the players that did go to Jackson State went because of Deion Sanders, and now that he's leaving, we don't know what's going to go on. So more to come with that, I guess. And that's pretty much going to finish up Sunday chat news for today. So let's move right along to our cash or trash. So this week we're doing tight ends. So
before Christian, let's of course, as we continue, almost forget. Let's go over. At this point, it was 2 weeks ago that we went over receivers, and for cash, Christian, you went with Justin Jefferson, always a pretty safe pick, but this time he didn't do enough. He only got 9.5, as my pick Stephon Diggs got 14.8. It was a little slower than both of these guys would have been expected to, but I did take the upper hand on cash. And as for trash, we both picked some guys that kind of did a little better than a usual trash pick would have gone. Michael Pittman Jr. got 13.5 for you, and Chris Olave, as I expected Jalen Ramsey to lock him up in that game 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he went off for 21.2, so obviously you take the upper hand with the trash pick this time. So now let's move on to tight ends, Christian.
There we go. So we got tight ends this week. So cash pick my tight end. I got George Kittle. They're playing against Miami, so it's gonna be a very, very good game. You know, I have very great offense against that very great defense. It could go both ways. It could possibly be a low scoring game. Who knows? But I got Kelsey. I'm not Kelsey. I got Kittle. Confident that he'll at least get something going. For trash, I got Kyle Pitts. Just the way Kyle Pitts is, he is a little consistent, just like that Falcons team. So that's why I really chose him, because realistically, I really don't see him doing anything today's game. So that's just the obvious call for me.
I obviously see that. And for me, my cash pick's gonna be Pat Freiermuth of the Pittsburgh Steelers, which it's he's honestly been one of the better tight ends. I got him on my fantasy team, so I would know he's been, giving some pretty solid numbers, and against a pretty lackluster Falcons defense, which they could be bipolar again, as I always say. But I would expect Freiermuth to get his usual, at least 10 points. For tight ends, that's usually enough here. And as for trash, I'm going with Hayden Hurst of the Cincinnati Bengals, which it's hit or miss with him. But when you're going against a highly touted Chiefs defense, not only is he going against that Chiefs defense, but with the other weapons that Joe Burrow is going to have to go to, I feel like he's going to kind of be left off on this week. So probably not for his own reason, but he will have a slow game this week. So as for that, let's wrap that up and move on to fantasy. So obviously we'll have our teams up on screen, and my team, I make yet another pretty big move. This one, call me a madman, call me whatever, but I'm bringing Deshaun Watson out of the gutter. I picked him up on waivers a couple weeks ago just to keep him in my back pocket, and he will be taking over my starting role at that quarterback position. So they're playing Houston. That's a pretty easy matchup. You would expect him to just really go off on his old team. His first game in almost 2 years, is it? So yeah, I'll have Watson at quarterback, and my running backs, my usual 1-2 punch, Derrick Henry and Saquon, which Henry's going against Philly. That's a tough team to play against, but as they're falling off, I don't expect them to win, but I do expect Derrick Henry to really get some decent numbers against that defense. And Saquon, they're playing the Commanders. I believe the last time they played, he did get a good amount of points, so I feel like that'll help me, both running backs. I get Tyreek Hill back, which I'm expecting to at least give me 20. He's usually my biggest point getter on fantasy, so I really expect big things out of him. Even though they're playing the really tough Niners defense, I do expect some high value from him. And my second receiver, Mike Williams, is still out, and I don't really have any other options, so I went out and picked up Nico Collins. He's on the Texans. Maybe he'll just get the bulk of some garbage time yards and just get a couple extra points to help me out. But it's against the Browns, so that's going to be a tough game regardless. And obviously, as for tight end, Pat Freiermuth, he's been really my easy go-to, especially with Njoku being out all this time. I'd probably feel safer just still rolling with him because he's really been solid for me. For the flex, Devin Singletary already got me 11.1 points on the Thursday nighter against the Patriots. Not much. He only had 51 yards and a touchdown, but that touchdown was enough to kind of help me. Defense, special teams, I got the Browns. They're playing the Texans. Not much to be said there. It's relatively easy to go with that. I would hope a good 6 or 7 points from them. And Daniel Carlson as my kicker. They're playing the Chargers. I believe he did pretty good in that Week 1 matchup. But yeah, I would expect a good amount of field goals from him.
Actually, you gotta make some changes once again. But so moving on to my fantasy team. At my quarterback, obviously, I got my one and only Dak Prescott at QB. Finally, that is back. He's been doing me pretty decently good amount of points since he came back. My running backs, my 1-2 punch, I got Aaron Jones and Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke, I expect a pretty decent game from him since we are playing the Colts and they are pretty bad right now. So really expect him to like run through that defense. My receivers, this is my specifically my only 1-2 punch as well. Jay Jettis and AJ Brown, those are my two main receivers on my fantasy team. Jay Jettis obviously carries my fantasy team. He got me 39 points last week, I think, around there. And then AJ Brown got me like a little over 10, I think, I don't know what he got, but I know Jay Jettis really carried me. So I respect big games from them too. My tight end, I got Mike Gesicki once again. Since they are playing the Lions, I mean not Lions. Excuse me. Since they are playing the Niners, I really don't expect him to go for some big yardage points. Hopefully he can get at least 10, but it's gonna be a little hard for Mike Gesicki if he can't get open. For my flex, I have George Pickens. Finally decided to use George Pickens now since he's been getting a little bit of traction over the past weeks. I think they're playing Atlanta, right?
I think so.
So yeah, with how inconsistent the Falcons are, I feel like George Pickens could go off. My defense, special teams, I got obviously my Cowboys. We're playing the Colts. Really hope we blow them out of the water. Really expect a huge blowout from the Cowboys to beat them. Then my kicker, I got Will Lutz. Will Lutz has been doing me very well these past weeks, and I really hope at least like 7 points from him.
Yeah, pretty solid lineup for you, obviously, and that's gonna wrap up our fantasy portion. Now, even 2 weeks ago, we forgot to go over this our last segment. Let's actually hit it again this time. Let's hit our last minute takes.
Yeah.
As for my Rams, what can I say? I've been pretty reserved about this. I know it's over, and I know there's not much to play for this season. Again, what I kept saying, I do want to at least see the young guys or just anyone that hasn't broken out on the team really get an opportunity at this point. Which, I mean, we could start seeing who does have an opportunity to really break out and make a name for themselves, or what we need to do in the offseason, because it's pretty clear. Obviously, O-line is going to be the main target, and I guess see what we have for the rest. But for this game against the Seahawks, it's pretty bleak. Our injury report is pretty lengthy, as it's been for all season. As I mentioned in the NFL news segment, we got Stafford on IR, Donald officially out. Allen Robinson on IR. So it's just so much piling up. No Cooper Kupp. We got rid of Henderson a couple weeks ago. Just that a big bulk of that Super Bowl winning lineup is just gone. So we're starting John Wolford this week instead of Perkins, which at least Wolford's a better passer, because for whatever reason Perkins, he's still not comfortable throwing the ball, which I get it. He's more of a mobile guy, but I still would have liked to see him throwing it around more and see what he has, in his back pocket. But regardless, it was an ugly game for Wolford. That Cardinals game, when we did use him, hopefully it can be a little better. He did have a really good start in that playoff game against the Seahawks, where he only played like part of the first quarter, and then Jamal Adams whacked him in the head and knocked him out of the game. We had to bring Goff back in, but yeah, I don't expect too much. I am expecting not too close, but maybe like a 7-10 point win for the Seahawks. But there's always surprises. There's always it's the NFL, especially this season. Nothing's ever for certain. We've seen worse teams beat better teams, so I would love to just see Wolford have another one of his just random good games, and maybe with Van Jefferson and Tutu Atwell and the rest of the receiving core, and even Cam Akers really maybe have a decent game. But overall, I just want to see where this team's headed for next year.
Yeah, it's pretty saddening. It's probably like the worst defending Super Bowl champ of the next season.
By far.
Pretty disappointing by far. Rebuilding's gonna be very difficult since y'all don't got picks till 2026. So this is pretty much.
You never know. We can find a sleeper in the 3rd or 4th round.
This is pretty much the team for the Rams, but hopefully something turns around in the next couple years. So obviously with my Cowboys, it's obviously the opposite with my Rams. I'm honestly very happy. I have my little depressed takes right there when we lose games that we should win, but honestly right now, sitting at an 8-3 record, coming off a big divisional win against the New York Giants, Dak Prescott, once again, he's undefeated against the Giants after his rookie year, 10-0, 10-2 total record. So obviously against the Giants, he does well. Those 2 picks though they're bad. Dak's really got to work on those picks. I don't know what's going on with him throwing interceptions now. Come playoff time, he's got to fix that. That cannot happen. If we're going to win playoff games, if we're going to take it to the Super Bowl, he's got to be consistent. He cannot be throwing those lousy interceptions. I understand that first interception. We thought he had a free play, but regardless, the player should be ready no matter what. So I'm not really going to take too bash on that. But the second pick, obviously, right over down the middle to CD, and it's just a little underthrown. And then second half, obviously, he turned it around, but still, he's got to work on those interceptions, especially going in against a very bad Colts team. Not I would say too bad. I would say a very lackluster, inconsistent Colts team that we're going up against. They did beat the Kansas City Chiefs, so I'm not going to really brag too much about that. But we are wearing the red stripe on the helmet for the salute to service. And I'm getting flashbacks. I'm getting PTSD from last season when we lost the Broncos with that red stripe. Hopefully that doesn't happen this game. And if anything, I'm really excited because I do feel we're gonna blow out the Colts. Regardless of not looking at today's game, Zeke and Pollard, the best 1-2 punch Dallas has had in quite some time. Those receivers, CeeDee Lamb's finally found his groove, and he's finally getting in there. Finally proven to be a receiver 1. He is in the slot, though. He is back in the slot, and he always did well in the slot since he entered the league. In his rookie year, he was great in the slot. Even in his second year, great in the slot. So I feel that if we do keep him in the slot, he'd be well. Michael Gallup, he finally found his somewhat of his rhythm. Thanksgiving, he did have a great game. So it looks like he's doing great there. We're looking at other receivers like Noah Brown. I've always loved Noah Brown since we got him in the league, since he signed with us. I've always liked Noah Brown, so usually utilizing Noah Brown here and there, I would like that. Then especially with the OBJ sweepstakes, since he is hopping from team to team right now, some visits. So I really do hope we do sign him. He is cleared. He could be a big weapon for us in the playoffs. That defense, obviously, great. I'm expecting that defense to go crazy today. Micah and Trayvon carrying that defense as we speak. Back offensively, James Washington, really hope he plays today again. We do really need another receiver 3. But regardless of everything, wrapping up everything, this is a great Dallas team. Best defense Dallas has had in many years. I'll argue, say this is probably one of the best teams we've had in years. Even 2021's team. I just really hope we can do something in the playoffs and actually win something for once.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, it's night and day with comparing our 2 teams, and
yeah,
hey, I've never been the biggest Dallas supporter, but as for you've been through enough. It'd be nice to see your boys get something. So. Yeah, this time, we finally got hit everything. We can, wrap this up, back in our groove, out there, missing little segments here and there. This is more of what we're used to, what we're supposed to be doing. So yeah, that's brings the end to a successful Sunday morning chat in this week 13. I see get this out and go watch some football, watch the World Cup, obviously. It's been a nice couple group, but yeah, as always, we appreciate everyone for sticking around and watching. And anything else from you, Christian?
Nothing else. Just glad we got this episode going. we're gonna make sure we don't miss another episode, especially an episode that we should have at least every week. But other than that, we'd just like to thank everyone. Obviously, I'm gonna say it again. Everyone that's been sticking around, watching our podcast. We're really happy that we went forward with this, and just whoever can watch, whatever traction we can get, it's the best we can get, and we appreciate everything. Literally support whatever it is. We really appreciate no matter what. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up Week 13 Sunday chat. We'll see you guys for Week 14's episode.